If you've moved into an apartment in the US, you know the drill. Your internet provider shows up, plugs in a generic router, and then boom, Wi-Fi, and you never think about it again. But that's the story for most people. If you're into home labbing, servers, smart devices, creating VLANs, that default setup can be limiting. Today I'll walk you through how I replace my default generic router with the UniFi setup. And you already probably know about UniFi and how great their hardware has been in recent years. They give rock solid performance, network segmentation, and you can take full control of your internet. So here's how this started. Verizon installed their router, I plugged my network switch in it, and then everything just worked. But I have a ton of smart home devices. I have robo vacuums, a smart mattress, and a lot of smart bulbs, smart switches, all of those things. And I don't like having all of those smart devices from the different companies that I don't know anything about on the same network as my personal devices where I do banking and all of the personal stuff. And an easy solution for that is to create VLANs, virtual local access networks, which essentially means you can split your internet into multiple lanes and one lane cannot see the internet access of the other lane and vice versa. So I can have my smart devices on one VLAN and my personal on the other, and they can't see each other's internet traffic. But Verizon and a lot of other service providers don't allow you to change and add these kind of features. Well, in their defense, it is kind of complicated, and for most people, they're never really going to do anything of that level. I had already picked up a 16-port UniFi network switch, but I quickly learned that you needed a UniFi controller. Installed the UniFi app on my Mac, and then it immediately saw the network switch on my internet and instantly connected it. I saw all of my devices on it, everything from my server devices and my personal devices and my smart devices, all of them showed up. But as I dug deeper into it and I tried to create VLANs, you need a controller device from UniFi to be able to do that. And that's when I decided to go all in on the UniFi ecosystem. I grabbed a Unify Gateway Ultra, which is called the UGC Ultra, and a U7 Pro access point. The idea was simple. The Unify Gateway replaces the Verizon router and becomes the main control hub for all of the VLANs and everything we want to create. And the U7 Pro access point will give Wi-Fi to all of the devices on the network, while making sure that any device that needs to be physically plugged in using Ethernet, that will be the network switch that manages all of that. So here's the flow now. Internet comes in from the internet provider's ONT or modem, that box that I can't change. Instead of feeding the Verizon router, the Ethernet now goes straight into the UGC Ultra box. Now the gateway becomes the brain and the bouncer, the DHCP server, the firewalls, the routing, the VLANs, the threat management, and everything just works. And because the gateway runs the Unify OS, I ditched my controller on my Mac because that meant I had to have my Mac run all the time. And instead, it just runs on the gateway. One Ethernet cable runs from that to my network switch, the 16-port network switch. And that's where all of my gear lives. The servers, the 3D printer, the PlayStation, all of the devices that need a physical Ethernet switch. On the 16-port network switch, it's actually a powerhouse. The left half of it is PoE+, where you can power devices and also give them internet with just one cable. So I ran one Ethernet cable from the network switch PoE port to the U7 Pro access point, and it powers it and gave it full gigabit internet. And as soon as I connected the network switch and then the U7 Pro access point to the network switch, all of those two devices showed up on the Unify OS instantly, and all I had to click was adopt. And both of the devices were now in my network. And you may be wondering, like, do I really need a 16-port PoE switch? His switch is not even fully used. And you're not wrong, you don't really need 16 ports. Unify actually has some network switches that only have like 4 ports, and that's all you may even need. And if you only have like 3 or 4 devices that need Ethernet for internet, your U7 Pro access point can just directly connect to that UGC gateway, but the UGC gateway does not have PoE+, so you will need an adapter that gives power, and then the internet will come from the gateway, and then one cable will go to the access point to give it power and internet. So you can essentially not even have a network switch, and all of this will just work great. So now that all of my devices were set up, all I had to do was go to the dashboard, create different subnetworks. So essentially I created one for my personal devices, one for IoT devices, one for my server, and one for guest. Now each one of these live on their individual VLANs and their own subnets with the firewall rules that let my personal VLAN talk to the home lab when I needed to, but block IoT from seeing anything except the internet. It's literally like drawing a line in the middle, your vulnerable stuff on one side, and all of your important stuff on the other side. And if I need something special, like a port for a camera in VR or a trunk to a hypervisor, I can tag the switch ports into the UI. No command line rabbit holes whatsoever. Performance has been stellar. The Wi-Fi range on the U7 Pro is legit. Speeds are consistent and nothing randomly drops. The dashboard is clean. I can see all of the clients, ISP, traffic, per device history. You get the real visibility to be a real network engineer, and you can just feel cool about it. Halfway through shooting this video, I actually changed the setup a little bit, where instead of keeping the U7 Pro on my server rack, as you may see from some of the footage, I went ahead and mounted it in the center of my apartment. I grabbed a 50-foot Cat6 cable, ran it on the baseboards throughout my office to the living room, and the coverage went from good to I don't think about Wi-Fi speed issues anymore. Any HomePods that I have in the bathroom that are like behind multiple doors, all of those get Wi-Fi now. Before, the other side of the apartment would not get full Wi-Fi and the HomePod would just say, sorry, I can't find internet. Please try again later. And that was so frustrating. One thing on the U7 Pro is that the U6 is cheaper, still with very capable Wi-Fi 6. And honestly, for most homes, that may just be enough. I went for the U7 Pro because of Wi-Fi 7 to future-proof. I work over Wi-Fi a lot, and I don't want to upgrade for a very long time. If you're investing now and planning to keep it for nearly a decade, Wi-Fi 7 just makes sense. So if your setup looks anything like mine, an internet provider box that you can replace, a desire to segment your network, and a bunch of devices, the Unify combo may just be your best bet. Since moving to the stack, it's been weeks of set it and forget it. The stable speeds, the clean segmentation, the admin experience, that actually makes sense. One pretty neat feature was on the guest network, when someone connects to it. You know, when you go to airports and you connect to a public Wi-Fi, it opens a pop-up screen where you have to put your number in, or like sometimes watch an ad and then press go and then you're connected to the internet. Well, that's what happens when you create a guest network. When someone connects to it, they get a quick pop-up after they connect to the Wi-Fi saying you're connected to the guest network in whatever the network is. And then all they have to do is press done on the top and then they're connected to Wi-Fi. But it's like the very little things that Unify really makes the experience like top notch for the money that you're spending on it. If you found this helpful, drop a comment. Tell me about your internet setup. Do you have a Unify setup? If not, what works for you? Until next time, peace.